Hello gamers and gamettes, what is going on? My name is Keysworn and some of you may know me as Tanek127 Gaming, and welcome back to another video. And guys, in today's video I want to talk about Skyforge. We're approaching the end of the line. The console version is going to be shut down here in October, and I just think it's time, to revisit and reminisce. By the way, guys, a few things, before we get into today's video. Number one, how do you guys feel about my name change from Tanek127 Gaming to Keysworn? Do you like Keysworn? Would you rather me stick with Tanek127? I promise y'all I'm going to tell y'all the story behind the name change and explain, why. It's a big one. It's a really difficult situation, so it's rough to talk about, let alone make a video on, so bear with me, but I am going to talk to you guys about that eventually. Also, just a little heads up, I did announce I now have channel memberships on the channel. I have permanently reduced the price of those to 99 cents for a channel membership. And that'll get you early access to videos that I upload. You'll be able to see them 24 hours before the rest of the subscriber base sees them. You'll get special discounts to stores and little special emotes and stuff like that to use when I live stream here on the YouTube channel. Just an optional thing to throw out there, and thank you guys for your support. Whether you are a member, subscriber, or anything, you're always appreciated here. But guys, what is going on? Like I was saying before, Skyforge is nearing the end of its life cycle, and ooh man, it hurts. And enjoy the gameplay in the background, guys. This is the first ever Loro the Cold run I did on Xbox. Man. And that makes me think, because I noticed that there's a Revenant in this gameplay. God bless the PlayStation community, man. I don't know if you guys remember or not, but when Skyforge first dropped on PS4, we were missing a couple classes. And not to mention, at that time, classes like Grove Walker and Revenant did not even exist yet. And it's just, wow, man. It's so crazy to think that it's all coming to an end. So, sorry, I know the intro's been a little bit ranty and talking about a lot of stuff, but the whole point of today's video is to talk about the 5 things I believe Skyforge did right. This is going to be a 2-part series. At first, we're going to talk about 5 things I think they did right, and then we're going to talk about 5 things I think they did wrong. And then we're going to make a final video on what I think my games should consider if they ever decide to work on another MMORPG. So, let me know what you guys feel like, and what are your top 5 things you feel like Skyforge did right, or name something you may think that I've missed down in the video comments. But for starters, based on the gameplay, this is going to be the number one thing I personally think Skyforge did right, is their raid scene. Now, I think the raids were fun. I think they were mechanic filled. I think they were very challenging, and there was a lot of good effort put into them. I'm not exactly 100% happy with how the loot was working and stuff like that with the raids, but the raids overall were a fun time, and I just do wish they would have took advantage of them more. Things like Operation Ophelia and stuff like that. A lot of those other 10-man raids in the game, they took advantage of the distortions. They made sure to make those a part of every season. But the first 3 basic raids they put in the game, like Operation Isabella and stuff like that, once you ran them once in the campaign, you really never had a reason to do them ever again. And that was just sad, because they were actually really fun pieces of content. But raids is the one thing I definitely think Skyforge did right. The second thing I think that Skyforge did right was their combat. Now, I'm not talking about balancing, because Lord knows there are some balancing issues with Skyforge. Melee classes needed more love. Range classes were pretty much meta. PvP, let's not even get started on that. But the fun action combat that Skyforge delivered, the particle effects and the gameplay style of the classes, hands down, I have to say the combat is something amazing that they did. Now, this one, my third one, may be a little bit controversial as of now, but especially when Skyforge first released and when it first released on console, I will definitely say this was a true fact. The character creation and the graphics. Skyforge, when it launched, it had some of the some of the best looking graphics out there. Still didn't beat Black Desert or anything like that, but the character models and the character creation in Skyforge definitely looked very good for its time. Now keep in mind, I'm talking about, like when the game first came out on PS4 back in 2017. I'm not talking about now, because Skyforge's visuals now absolutely get crushed by a lot of MMORPGs out there. But Skyforge definitely had, some pretty decent character creation, good looking character models and graphics for its time, especially when it first came out on PC back in 2015. My fourth thing I believe that Skyforge did right: they made very unique classes. Now, some of these classes, were just strange takes on other classes that came out in MMOs. But like the Soundweaver, for example, I believe that was, a really cool take on the Bard and, and stuff like that. The Berserker, was, of course, your typical barbarian two-handed sword kind of class, but they tried to make sure, that there was always something unique about their classes. I'm not going to lie, they could have did a little bit better with the naming with some of these classes. Like I believe Soundweaver was okay and Grove Walker was okay, but Witch and and some of the other classes, they could have just gave a little bit of cool names for. Lightbinder, I just found that was kind of basic, but I don't know. Just let me know y'all opinion. But regardless, I feel like the way they did the classes in the game were very unique and different and made them stand out from other MMOs, and also took advantage of the game's sci-fi setting. And last but not least, I'm going to talk about this one very carefully, because this is only one of the best things they did to an extent. The Elder Guardian program and some of their community engagement. Now, it's clear that the developers did not listen to us a lot with Skyforge, which is why we are where we are now and the game's getting ready to shut down. I'm not saying if they did everything we said, the game would have been saved and yada yada, but I do think the game would have been a lot better off, especially, if they listened to some of us creators, people in the community and stuff like that, because we've all been screaming for a lot of the same stuff. But they were on the right track with things when the game first came out, especially on console. Back when Community Manager Killshift was a part of the Discord, and he had, a bunch of Elder Guardians who were, people that were really good at the game and knowledgeable of the game and, really interactive with the community, becoming, like these big moderators in the Discords called Elder Guardians, in charge of, like helping other players get more involved with the community, learning different things about the game and stuff like that. I just feel like, in the beginning they were on the right track, and they kind of fell off. It was a good idea, but it had a terrible execution in the long run. Let me know what you guys think. What you guys think about that? I know that's a controversial one because the game's getting shut down. The developers obviously didn't listen a lot, but I think that the intention to do the right thing from the start was there, and then somewhere it changed. But anyway, guys, there are more things I like about Skyforge that I believe they did right, but these are just the top 5 that I wanted to talk about. Like I said before, let me know your thoughts and things that Skyforge did right down in the video comments below. Y'all enjoyed today's video? Smash that like. I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace out. Have a good one.